Why Arizona Tea doesn't care about making more money.
Increase the
Money.
and therefore increase the profit.
Was successful.
That's Don
Answer,
Voltaggio,
so.
chairman, co-founder of Arizona Beverage Company, which currently does about $4
Arizona
billion in
Beverage
sales
Company.
each year.
Like
The
that,
company
simple.
all started by accident. To this day, Don's claimed he's never sent a text, never sent an email, and never even turned on a computer before. And even in spite of all of that, his net worth is estimated at $6.5 billion.
Whoa.
But Don here isn't your average CEO billionaire. Not just for those reasons, but because he's committed to keeping prices low while not sacrificing on their drink's quality. A rare feature from a CEO these days. Because as we know, most big companies will figure out ways to cut costs any way they can.
Any way they can.
Oftentimes, though, at the expense of the very product they're selling. Doing so, they'll wind up
Typical.
increasing their prices
Big
to increase
CEO
their
owners.
profits. I mean, we've all seen it 100 times before. But how did this company start by accident, and how in the world is Arizona able
Typical.
to keep their famous 99-cent iced tea the same price as it was from over 30 years ago? Well, the year's 1992 in Brooklyn,
know
New
what
York,
they're doing with
Don
their money,
Voltaggio and
honestly.
friend John Farolito are running a beverage distribution business, primarily focused on beer and soda. Their focus is on multi-brand distribution in the New York City boroughs. When one day, on a cold February morning, Don sees a Snapple truck being unloaded at one of the local retailers. He was familiar with Snapple as it was a New York-based company. He saw it come to market, saw it struggle, and then saw it succeed. But it was on this cold day when the idea first came to him. See, Snapple was becoming more and more popular at this time, but Don knew that in order for it to be selling in the freezing cold of February, the product was far more successful than he had ever thought. The misconception that iced tea would only be sold in the hot summer months was smashed right then and there. Snapple was sold in 16-ounce wide-mouth
Oh,
glass
my first
bottles.
damn, I ain't gonna lie. There's too many bangers. Not even gonna lie.
And Don thought to himself,
Same thing with Arizona. Same thing with Arizona. Arizona got too many bangers.
if I create a similar bottle as them, why in the world would someone buy mine over theirs? But with his background in alcoholic beverages, he knew
Too
there
much.
was
I
a
think
malt
mine's just
liquor
half
that
half
sold in
lemon, half
22-ounce
half-
tall boy
let's see.
cans. And he thought, why not put the
Who's
tea
that?
in those cans? The idea was simple.
It's not.
Here are
And
4
there's the
reasons
mango
why
one.
you need to use the new AdBlock extension from Capital One Shopping. 1.
In order to compete, sell a bigger quantity of it for the same price as Snapple. But he wasn't setting out to create this huge successful
Oh,
brand.
refreshing.
He simply thought, if he can add another non-alcoholic beverage product to his distribution truck and sell it to the retailers he already had relationships with, well, he can make a little bit more money. Since he'd be creating and manufacturing the product, he could get better margins on it, rather than if he was just distributing it for another iced tea company. The model was simple. Don says, make it look good, make it taste good, and price it fair. The design of the can and the taste of the tea were going to be crucial, but it all started with the value proposition, the size of the can.
The size
For
of the
record,
can, facts.
Everyone told Don
A lot of
this
that can
wouldn't
is
work. Even the
fucking
bank he went to called it a
gigantic.
dumb idea, and he loves to bring this up to them because he still does business with the same bank today. Now, despite the name Arizona, the company has no real connection to the state. The name is said to have been inspired by the Adobe-style house that Don and his wife lived in Brooklyn. He said it looked like a house from Santa Fe, and that was actually the first name of the company. But when he put Santa Fe on a can, he said it didn't look right, so he ended up changing it to Arizona, despite never being to Arizona at the time. He said he associated Arizona with a healthy, clean, and dry feel that was different from the Brooklyn feel, and he thought those features were really important for an iced tea beverage business. As I mentioned, the design on the can was crucial, and after all, when competing with some of the biggest players in the industry, you need to find a way to stand out on the shelves.
Right.
He actually had his wife
Right.
design many
Macho
of the
Mango. Wait,
initial
right there. The Macho Mango. Wowza. Not gonna lie. Fruit Punch. Fruit Punch is a classic, obviously. All flavors of Fruit Punch is pretty good. Okay, this right here. I gotta try this. This with cranberry juice. Huh? Cranberry juice. Iced tea cranberry juice. Cranberry juice. Peach.
had his wife design many of the initial concepts that still look the same to this day. Bright colors, cool looking imagery, and a bold Arizona logo
Arizona
all
iced
played
tea
into the themes.
with
The
lemon.
inspiration of the cans came from many different things in their home. Her perfume bottle and pictures from one of their son's coloring books have said to inspire the notable green tea can with the bright turquoise and pink flowers, which at the time when that can was made, people told Don that the green tea wouldn't sell to men because of how colorful the can was. Don said, "Great, women can buy it then." Don knew it would be successful, and he didn't really care what the pundits thought. In 1996, Arizona introduced their gallon jug of iced tea, and Don says at the time this was a radical idea. Remembering the first major retailer they proposed the product to, the buyer at the store said, "That's a crazy, stupid idea, and it will never sell." So the salesman for Arizona came back to Don telling him what the retailer said, and Don responded with, "That's good news, because that guy's never been right." Today, the gallon jug is one of Arizona's most successful offerings. And as the years went on and Arizona became more and more successful, Don figured out ways for the business to become more efficient. While this is the natural evolution of any successful business throughout the years, he didn't want to raise the prices on the product despite inflation continuing to rise. The first way the business was able to save was their lack of advertising. Everything was done from word of mouth. But at Arizona's core, the can was really the biggest form of advertising.
Oh, yeah?
Don was asked by another businessman,
Honestly,
"How big is your marketing team?" Don said,
They
"It's
got
big."
how
And
many
the guy
sizes? They
responded,
got the can
"How
and then
big?"
just the bottle,
Don
I think.
said,
Actually,
"He's 6'8", referring to the fact that it was just Don handling the marketing. Today, the same can't be said because both of Don's sons are heavily involved in the business. His son Spencer is the chief marketing officer, and his other son Wesley is the chief creative officer, but more on them in a moment. Other ways they've made the business more efficient is the ability to produce more of the product much faster. Back when the company was in
with
its
the fucking
infancy, it was
bottle.
being produced at a
With the
brewery
fucking
in
bottle.
Cincinnati. The facility could make 100 cans per minute, but today at the Arizona plant in New Jersey,
Damn,
they
that
make
bottle. How much is that bottle? I
1,600
wonder.
cans per minute. And over the years, they've also been able to use less
plastic.
aluminum in their cans, resulting in them being 50% lighter in weight. They have set up
Interesting.
multiple distribution centers across the US to make their deliveries more efficient. And obviously, with lighter cans, this allows for more of them to go on a pallet and ultimately into the truck. But they also focus on delivering their drinks at nighttime instead of the daytime to avoid traffic, and this speeds up their deliveries. And lastly, they've also integrated shipping their product with trains, which can help them save on shipping costs. According to Don, one boxcar from rail is equivalent to 5 truckloads with a standard truck. But over the years, despite all of this efficiency, they haven't touched the beverage at all. Don says it's because that's what people are buying. But in 2012, after a falling out between the two co-founders,
Yes, it actually is possible to eat healthy and still have a life.
Factor has made the biggest difference in how I eat.
John Farolito filed a lawsuit against Don. This was because John wanted to sell his half of the company to some major international beverage companies. The lawsuit ended up lasting years and went all the way up to the New York State Supreme Court's Appellate Division, where they ruled in favor of Don. Don was allowed to buy out John's half of the company, but there was ultimately a dispute over how much the company was worth. Don's lawyers pointed to the 2007 valuation of the company that put it at around $430 million, but John's lawyers argued that the company was now worth $6 billion. And in the end, Don ended up paying $1 billion to buy out John's
Arizona
half interest in
Iced
the
Tea found
company.
it settled.
But as the years have continued, Arizona has increasingly faced competition in the beverage space. I mean, back in the 90s when the company was first founded, there were no energy drinks, no health conscious drinks, and certainly not as much consolidation as there is today. Arizona has had to constantly learn to navigate this ever-changing landscape, and they've broadened their offerings significantly over the years. Initially starting with only 2 flavors of tea, where today they have over 500 different items, expanding into sparkling water, energy drinks, juice, coffee, alcoholic iced teas, and even a few food items like fruit snacks, popsicles, and snack trays. His 2 sons, Spencer and Wesley, are heavily involved in the business today. They have a 2-hour board meeting every single day with Don
Arizona
and another
iced teas.
executive at the company, where
Iced
they'll have
teas.
lunch and talk about all things Arizona, taste testing new products, discussing potential ideas, and much more. And while I had mentioned Don previously handled all of the marketing and advertising in the past, which didn't consist of much except building a great product, today his 2 sons are in charge of leading the brand's future. They've built out the company's website and social channels and have ventured into merch, including collaborating with several other notable brands like Adidas and creating their own product lines of clothing, hats, skateboards, and so much more, pushing the brand forward and finding other ways to build out the company's revenue streams, which certainly has to play a factor in Arizona being able to maintain that 99-cent can to this day. But I have to make a clarification here regarding the 99-cent cans. Not every can has the 99-cent Great Buy logo on it, and not every retailer respects Arizona's suggestion of pricing. Ultimately, every retailer has the autonomy when it comes to what they're going to charge for the tea. So that's why in some areas or in some cases, you will see the tea cost more. But according to this research compiled by MarketWatch, if Arizona Tea were to keep up with the market costs and raise prices accordingly since their release all the way back in 1992, the 22-ounce can would cost 124% more,
If Arizona-
equating to $2.22. 2-ounce can would cost
I want to see that.
accordingly.
Son of a gun.
Not every retailer respects Arizona's suggestion of pricing. Ultimately, every retailer has the autonomy when it comes to what they're going to charge for the tea. So that's
But I
why
miss it.
in some areas, or in some cases, you will see the tea cost more. But according to this research compiled by MarketWatch, if Arizona tea were to keep up with the market costs and raise prices accordingly since their release all the way back in 1992, the 22-ounce can would cost 124%.
If Arizona iced tea's price kept pace with inflation, it would cost 124% more than it does today.
Equating to $2.22. Arizona has built a reputation of being essentially anti-capitalistic. They are a private company which allows for them to do things how they want, they're debt-free, and according to this USA Today interview with Don, it appears he takes great pride in giving back to his employees. He seems to really care about trying to maintain Arizona's low price points and keeping his employees happy. The story of Arizona is a refreshing one. A family-owned business that hasn't sold out to a big corporation and who has doubled down on the very things it was founded on: hard work, consistency, fair pricing, and a good deal. Now, obviously, not every company cares to operate like this, but if you want to learn about this salad chain that's trying to reinvent fast food, well, I covered it all in this video here. Check it out next. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace. I like that. That was cool. That was cool.